Hello and welcome if you're new. In today's video we're going to be grooming my dog, but we're not going to groom her using a bath or water. We're actually going to be using some no rinse shampoo. As you can see, it is shedding season around here and she is in desperate need of some grooming. So I'm going to go ahead and take you through the process that I go through to help take out all of this undercoat, at least as much as I can with what I have. As you can see, she is super excited about getting brushed out. She's been trying to get this undercoat out by herself. She's been very itchy, so I'm gonna go ahead and go through the process of getting it out for her. As you can see, this is what the house has been looking like for probably the past week. Everywhere she goes, she leaves a trail behind her, and it cracks me up because every time around this season that it comes around, I am reminded of an Avatar the Airbender episode when the fire princess is chasing down Aang and Appa is shedding everywhere, and then that's how they were able to figure out where they were. So that every time I go through this season, it just cracks me up to think about that episode in the Avatar the Airbender. That just cracks me up so much. Starting out, what I do here is I always start by shaving the paw pads every time I groom her. Because her fur grows in really long around her paw pads and it just tracks in a ton of mud and a ton of just filth from outside. So I trim it up, and then her paws stay a lot cleaner and she doesn't bring in as much water and mud and dirt from outside when she does come back in. She was really struggling to let me do this. She had so much excitement and energy, and she was just looking forward to being brushed. So when she saw that I was trying to do something else, she just could not sit still. But I had to get it done, so I went ahead and shaved up her paw pads. And then I used this Wahl no rinse shampoo to rub into her fur, and I have found that this is the best kind of solution for me to help really get this undercoat out. Her undercoat drops like all of it all at once, pretty much 2 or 3 times a year. And I found that by rubbing in this no rinse shampoo and brushing her out and really working this through, that I'm able to get so much more of her undercoat out rather than giving her a bath. Whenever I give her a bath, it just tangles up her fur even more, and it makes it sometimes harder to get it out. But this was the method that I had found that gets the most of that undercoat out, and then I'll give her a actual bath a little bit later once this is all out, because yeah, I found that this is how I am able to remove all of this undercoat in one go. And this process took me a few hours, to be honest, but I only have to do this maybe twice a year, 3 times at most, and then the rest of the season is just so much better for me. So starting out, my main objective right now is to not worry about getting too much of the hair out. It's mostly to work the product all the way down to the skin so that it can start to condition the skin. And then as the product starts to dry on her fur, I'm able to start brushing it out. But I use this brush here to start just working the product further into her coat, and then also to start brushing out any loose fur that's already ready to come out. But at this point, I'm just waiting for the product to start to dry and start to soften her fur, to make it ready to brush out. And I just work my way up through these brushes. I have 4 different brushes that I'm going to be using, and they just each have their own benefits. This one is really nice for starting the process, for kind of getting the fur loosened up, and for just removing any fur from the surface before going in with the more aggressive brushes. I try to be really patient with this process and just treat it like a bonding experience with my dog, because she really enjoys being groomed. It's just something that we've always bonded over. When I had first got her, she was really anxious. She had a lot of anxiety. And one of the first things that I started to do was just to get her used to me touching her, and I started to just start to groom her coat. And at some point, she actually ran away and came back. She found her way back home because she just really enjoyed the fact that I would groom her. That was what made her feel loved. And so I just treat this process as a bonding moment with her. And so I just take my time and start working out all of this fur. This product says that it cleans the coat and the skin, conditions and detangles and moisturizes the coat. And I have found that that is really what helps get this undercoat out, is that conditioning, that moisturizing. It can leave her coat feeling a bit oily or greasy when I'm done, but she smells fantastic. She looks so much better, and it does a great job at actually making her white fur turn really, really clean and white. And then it just says you just use a towel to wipe away any of the dirt. I do like it for removing the undercoat, but then I don't like that it leaves her coat feeling a bit greasy. So I do give her a bath shortly after. I do wait probably about a month or so, maybe a couple weeks, just to make sure that I'm not agitating her skin or anything like that. But it does leave her coat feeling just a tad bit greasy, but I think it's totally worth it because how much fur I can get out. Once this product is dry and I can start to feel that her fur is getting conditioned and it's very moisturized and softened, I switch over to this slicker brush, which is for long fur. This slicker brush is a retractable slicker brush, so you can pull the teeth in to get the fur off of it rather than having to like pull it off of the teeth. I I do like the idea of this, but sometimes it kind of gets stuck because of how thick her fur is. Um, but it is really nice to have it. After I use the other brush, I do switch over to this one. This one is a little bit more aggressive than the other one. It does start to get out a little bit more of that fur. But yeah, when she has this much fur, it is a little bit difficult because it does struggle to kind of retract because of how thick and dense her fur is. After the initial brushing with the slicker brush and the other brush, I end up swapping between these two brushes for most of the groom. This top brush is called a grooming rake, and it is really nice at getting all the way down to that undercoat. It detangles a little bit and it's a little bit more gentle, whereas this bottom one is a deshedding brush and it works similarly, but it is double-sided, and this one will actually cut through tangles and cut through the different kind of the undercoat. Whenever it starts to tangle up, it can get a little bit hard to brush out. And so this brush actually cuts through it and will break it up. And the other brush is good at removing the bits that are now loosened. So I just swap between these two because the rake she's a little more tolerant with, but the other one she doesn't like quite as much. Most dogs don't like it because it can be painful trying to detangle the undercoat, just like as if my hair was tangled and I brushed it and it pulls my hair. Like, it's just the same kind of idea. So I try to kind of break it up. I don't stay in one spot for too long, and if she shows that she's uncomfortable, I move somewhere else or I swap back to the other brush just to kind of work out this coat slowly without her getting impatient or frustrated with me. She is quite tolerant to most of this, and it just took a really long time of kind of getting her comfortable with it. At some point, she does start to fall asleep. That's how kind of comfortable she is with the process, but she does get agitated whenever I get to a point that's really tangled up. She does not like it so much, so I try to be really gentle with her and really patient, and she'll let me know if she doesn't like it. She does kind of come through. She's usually pretty fine with most of her body. The area she really doesn't like is around her tail and on her back legs. She really doesn't like that, but unfortunately that is where a lot of her undercoat does get stuck. So I try to be really patient. I work it out, and then if she's not happy with it, then I will kind of swap to the other brush and just work out the coat from around her head and her neck where she's more comfortable until she's content with me continuing to work on her back areas. This is her areas that she really just doesn't like it. And I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't like it either. So I understand. And so I just try to really pay attention to what she's saying. If she doesn't like it, I move somewhere else, and then we just keep working at it until we are content or until she loses all of her patience and just doesn't want to be brushed anymore. And that's just part of the process. She is a double coated dog, so she has two coats from what I understand. And so with a double coated dog, she will drop a large portion of her winter coat and even her summer coat, like all at once. She'll drop it all at once to prepare for the new season. So I know with a number of dogs, they'll just be continuously shedding throughout the season. But she doesn't really shed all the time. In the middle of our seasons when she's not shedding, she'll drop a little bit of fur here and there, but she really doesn't shed all that much. But then when she does shed, she sheds. She drops all of her coat. And I always joked around that if ever for some reason I can't keep my family warm in the winter, that I would totally harvest her fur to make us clothes and blankets, because this is some good stuff here. It's funny to think about, but kind of sad too. But yeah, it's something that I often, whenever I go through the process of taking her fur out to see how much fur she loses, it just reminds me of like sheep's wool. And I don't know, at some point it'd be nice to try to learn to make to spin my own yarn. But I don't know, not this time, not right now. I'm not that desperate. At this point, I finished the one side and I was halfway through and my knees started to hurt. So I went ahead, I got up, I took a bathroom break, I stretched my legs out, and then I came back to do the whole process again on the other side of her body. I also went ahead, grabbed my child a snack, and then once I felt like I had taken a nice little break, I got started on the next side. To get this side done, I just go ahead and go through the same process. I start out with the first brush and just work out whatever loose fur there is, and then I'll move to the slicker brush to get a little bit more out, and then I'll switch over to the rake and the deshedding brush and just continue to work out the areas where the fur is really piled in. And this process, it does take a while, but yeah, totally worth it, because I don't have to really deal with it again until next season. Something that always makes me laugh is when people come over to my house and see her. They all like so often they say, "Whoa, I remember her being a lot bigger. I don't know what it is. Your dog looks so different." And it cracks me up because this right here is why whenever somebody sees her, she looks smaller. It's because she drops all of her coat, and so she looks like she's gaining so much weight until all of this fur is taken off of her. So yes, she was bigger. She was actually about twice the dog before she drops her winter coat. So that's something that makes me laugh because nobody gets to see the behind the scenes here that I go through. Even when I showed my husband how much fur I had gotten off of her, he sees her all the time and he was in shock. He thought she was just gaining weight. But she wasn't. She just had a really thick winter coat, and so we're gonna get this off for her so that she can enjoy the rest of this hot summer with some form of peace. At very least, she won't be itchy anymore, and her skin will be able to breathe and get cleaned really well next time we take a bath. So last time that I had shared a grooming video of how I give her a bath, I had used the Furminator shampoo and conditioner, and that shampoo and conditioner, what it does is it'll prep her coat and her fur and her skin for this process here because it has different vitamins and I think like omega-3s and stuff in it that just allow the fur to start coming loose from her skin easily. And it also on there says that it helps so that she doesn't lose too much fur either. It gives her skin kind of a boost to prep her kind of her coat for this release of this coat, and that's why I like to use that right as I start to see that we're entering into the shedding season, because that just makes this process so much easier, and it just leaves her skin and coat a lot healthier. For a regular just bath, I like to use an oatmeal dog shampoo, just because I feel like it is just nicer for the skin. I really want to make sure her skin is staying healthy, because if her skin is staying healthy, then her coat will stay healthy. That's the just part of the process, and I want to maintain her skin so that her skin can maintain her coat, so to speak. So yeah, I like to just use an oatmeal shampoo. I don't have any more at this time, and I will be getting some more, so maybe next time we'll do just a regular bath with the oatmeal shampoo. By this point, all I had left to do was her tail and kind of her back area. Everything else was pretty good and brushed out. I was pretty happy with it. But as I kept working on her tail, she was just getting more and more impatient. So what I ended up doing is there's this brush, or not a brush, there's this comb, looks like this. It comes with the clipper set that I use to trim up her paws. And this comb, I started brushing out her tail with the comb, and she seemed a bit happier with that. She was willing to tolerate it, so I just kept brushing it out as best as I could, and as long as she would let me, until I just had to be kind of content. She was not really happy anymore, but I just brushed it out the best I could. And oftentimes, if I need to, I will add more of the no rinse shampoo as needed for especially areas like her tail. But this particular time, I wanted to be done. I was tired, and she was just over it. She didn't really want to be brushed anymore, so we called it good, and we just moved on. At this point, I just let her know that I was proud of her, and I pet her, and we just got all the lovin's and the hugs and the verbal praises out, and we just loved this time together. And I went ahead and I got her a dental treat so she could chew on that while I cleaned up this big old mess. This moment right here is what makes this so worth it. She just is so expressive with her gratitude. She's just so grateful now that she's clean, and all that fur is off of her, and she just expresses it so well. It brings me so much joy. So this is what makes spending 2-3 hours doing this worth it, is all this love and affection I get in return. She got a little too excited here with with this treat coming her way, so she had just propelled this fur everywhere, but that's okay. It's fun. We make it a fun time. It doesn't really feel like a chore because it's just such a fun time together, so, yeah. Oftentimes for me, this just gives me kind of, I guess, a mental break from life and from my work and responsibilities. This just gives me some time to just, I don't know, get lost in thought. Kind of, I don't know, sometimes it happens like when I'm doing the dishes or whatever, it's like it just allows my mind to take a mental break because it doesn't take much, like, consideration. It doesn't take much, thought to it for me. It's just kind of one of those things I'm able to zone out and just enjoy doing. So this is actually very therapeutical for me, very enjoyable. It just gives my mind a time to rest. And yes, this is a whole shopping bag of hair. You saw that correctly. But yeah, now I'm just going to go ahead, put everything away. I'm going to get the broom, clean up the floor, Swiffer, and then I'm going to let you go ahead and have a couple minutes of watching her chew up her hide chew because I gave her a hide chew as well, because why not? So you could enjoy that in just a minute. Yes, I took a minute to go ahead and brush myself off with the other side of her brush. I feel like that helps get the bulk of her fur off of my clothes, and then I use like a sticky roller to go ahead and get the rest of it off, and then I just reset the room and just clean it up. And yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd really appreciate it if you had a minute to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!